Have you ever heard of a U.S. president who was so unpopular by the end of his term that his own party refused to renominate him? Today, we're diving into the tragic and controversial life of America's 14th president, Franklin Pierce. Born in a humble log cabin in New Hampshire in 1804, Pierce's early life seemed destined for greatness. His father was a Revolutionary War hero and a two-term governor of the state. Young Franklin was charming, handsome, and ambitious. He graduated from Bowdoin College, became a successful lawyer, and quickly rose through the political ranks, serving in the New Hampshire legislature, the U.S. House of Representatives, and finally, the U.S. Senate. By the age of 33, he was the youngest senator in the nation. But personal tragedy haunted him. He and his wife, Jane, had 3 sons, but none survived to adulthood. Their first son died in infancy, their second from typhus at age 4. This immense grief cast a long shadow over their lives, particularly for Jane, who was deeply religious and reclusive. In 1852, the Democratic Party was hopelessly deadlocked over who to nominate for president. After 48 rounds of voting, they turned to a dark horse candidate nobody expected, Franklin Pierce. He was seen as a safe, non-controversial choice who could unite the party. He ran on a platform of national expansion and compromise, and won the election in a landslide, becoming, at 48, the youngest president up to that point. But disaster struck just before his inauguration. The Pierce family was in a train accident, and their last surviving son, 11-year-old Benny, was killed right before their eyes. Pierce was sworn into office 2 months later, a broken man. His wife believed Benny's death was divine punishment for her husband's political ambitions, and she barely appeared in public during his presidency. This personal anguish bled into his presidency. Pierce's administration is remembered for one of the most disastrous pieces of legislation in American history, the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854. This law allowed settlers in the new territories of Kansas and Nebraska to decide for themselves whether to allow slavery. It effectively repealed the Missouri Compromise, which had kept the peace for over 30 years. The result was chaos. Pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers flooded into Kansas, leading to a brutal, violent conflict known as Bleeding Kansas. Instead of easing tensions, Pierce's policy ignited a firestorm that pushed the nation closer to civil war. His attempts to enforce the Fugitive Slave Act further alienated the North, while his efforts to acquire Cuba angered those who saw it as a move to expand slave territory. By the end of his single term, Pierce was a pariah. His policies had failed, the country was more divided than ever, and his own party abandoned him. He left the White House in 1857, a deeply unpopular and tragic figure. Franklin Pierce returned to New Hampshire, his reputation in tatters. He struggled with depression and heavy drinking for the rest of his life, passing away in 1869. Today, he is often ranked by historians as one of the least effective presidents in U.S. history. His story is a somber reminder of how personal tragedy and political miscalculation can converge, leading a man of great promise to preside over a nation spiraling toward its greatest crisis. What do you think? Was Pierce a victim of circumstance, or was he responsible for his own failures? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.